the spotlight almost always lands on the singer or the guitarist. The drummer sits in the back, buried under cymbals and kick drums, doing the heaviest lifting of all. These are 10 hard rock and metal drummers the world criminally forgot were absolute monsters behind the kit. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep cut like this one. Number 10. Bobby Jarzombek. At 180 beats per minute, most drummers are white-knuckling the hi-hat just to stay on the beat. Bobby Jarzombek was just getting warmed up. His work on Riot's 1988 album Thundersteel introduced a level of speed metal precision that left other drummers genuinely speechless. His extreme kit layout featured an unusually wide cymbal spread combined with cross-handed technique, both of which are verifiable through his drum clinic appearances and features in drum publications throughout the 1990s. What made him truly dangerous was his independence. His left foot, right foot, and both hands operated like 4 separate musicians locked in perfect formation. He later brought that same surgical intensity to Halford's 2000 album Resurrection, where his contributions redefined what power metal drumming could demand from a performer. His technique remains studied and cited in drumming circles decades later, and he is still almost completely unknown outside of the hardcore drumming community. Number 9. Gene Hoglan. The nickname says everything. They called him the Atomic Clock, and not because he was fast, but because he was incapable of being wrong. His performance on Dark Angel's 1986 album Darkness Descends was recorded when he was 18 years old, and it still stands as one of the fastest and most punishing thrash performances ever committed to tape. What most people never knew was that Hoglan built his playing style around developing left foot independence as the core of his speed, a methodology he discussed in detail with multiple drum publications over the years. He carried that philosophy into Death's 1998 album, The Sound of Perseverance, where his blast beats reached speeds that modern drum computers struggle to replicate cleanly. Testament, Strapping Young Lad, and Death Clock all benefited from his presence behind the kit. He remains one of the most consistently in-demand extreme metal drummers of the last 4 decades. Number 8. Gar Samuelson. Combat Records released Killing Is My Business in 1985, and the drumming was the first thing serious musicians noticed. Gar Samuelson's jazz fusion background gave early Megadeth a rhythmic unpredictability that nobody else in thrash could match. Capitol Records picked them up for Peace Cells in 1986, and his behind-the-beat phrasing gave that record a swing and a danger that defined the band's early identity. Dave Mustaine has spoken in interviews about Samuelson being among the most naturally gifted musicians he had ever encountered, despite the personal struggles that led to his firing in early 1987 before recording sessions began for So Far, So Good, So What. Chuck Baylor and Nick Menza were both capable replacements, but neither brought the jazz-informed chaos Samuelson delivered. He passed away in the summer of 1999, and the drumming world largely forgot to mourn him properly. Number 7. Deen Castronovo. Before anyone ever handed him a Journey setlist, he was playing double kick at speeds that made thrash drummers uncomfortable. His tenure with Cacophony alongside Marty Friedman and Jason Becker from the late 1980s produced shred metal drumming of the highest order, technically ferocious and completely unhinged in the best possible way. He followed that chapter with Ozzy Osbourne's touring band in the early 1990s, where his live performances on tracks like Miracle Man became something that circulated among drummers on bootleg recordings for years. The power and precision he brought to that material was genuinely shocking for anyone who only knew him from Journey's radio catalog. The journey from shred metal chaos to arena rock smoothness is one of the most dramatic stylistic pivots any drummer in the genre ever pulled off successfully, and most of his current audience has no idea the first chapter even existed. Number 6. Mikkey Dee. When Lemmy Kilmister said publicly that Mikkey Dee was the best rock drummer alive, the drumming world briefly paid attention, then promptly moved on. His work on King Diamond's 1987 album Abigail came first, and it showcased a level of technical complexity that the Motorhead Association completely overshadowed for the rest of his career. The Abigail performances demanded constant time signature shifts, ghost notes layered beneath thundering kick patterns, and an almost orchestral sensitivity to the theatrical demands of King Diamond's songwriting. Motorhead gave him a louder stage and a larger audience, but a narrower musical lane. His live playing with Motorhead through the 1990s and into the 2000s was relentlessly powerful, and his festival performances stand as some of the most viscerally heavy drum showcases ever captured on a festival stage. He was always more than the engine room. He was the entire foundation. Before we continue, which of these drummers actually had you reaching for your record collection again? Were you catching Riot and Dark Angel in the clubs back in the day? Or did you discover this music later on? Drop a comment and let us know where in the world you are watching from. Number 5. Cozy Powell. In 1973 and 1974, he released a solo single called Dance with the Devil that reached number 3 on the UK singles chart, driven entirely by a drum performance so physically overwhelming that BBC radio presenters struggled to describe it on air. He was the original power hitter, the man who made drums sound like artillery before anyone else thought to try. His contribution to Rainbow's 1976 album Rising, specifically the track Stargazer, gave heavy metal drumming its first genuinely cinematic moment. His concert drum solos, a centerpiece throughout the late 1970s, featured live pyrotechnics and became one of the most theatrical drum showcases in rock history. He went on to play with Jeff Beck, Black Sabbath, and Whitesnake, and his influence on every power metal drummer who followed is almost impossible to overstate. He passed away in April of 1998, and the gap he left behind has never been properly filled. Number 4. Richard Christy. Millions of people know him as the personality from The Howard Stern Show, where he has been a staff member since 2004. What those same millions largely do not know is that he spent the previous decade playing some of the most technically demanding death metal ever recorded. His work on Death's 1998 album, The Sound of Perseverance, placed him alongside Chuck Schuldiner at the absolute peak of the genre. Death's cover of Judas Priest's Painkiller on that album remains one of the most studied recordings in extreme metal drumming circles, combining brutal speed with a physical endurance that seemed almost athletic in its demands. He also recorded with Iced Earth and Burning Inside before the radio career absorbed his public identity entirely. He is consistently cited in extreme metal drumming discussions as a defining voice of the late 1990s era, and the contrast between his on-air persona and his recorded legacy is one of the most extreme identity pivots in the history of the genre. Number 3. Ingo Schwichtenberg. In 1987, Helloween released Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1 and introduced European power metal to a rhythmic language it had never heard before. Ingo Schwichtenberg was the architect of that language, a drummer whose double bass patterns moved at blinding speed, while his hands maintained an almost melodic sensitivity that separated him completely from his thrash contemporaries. Eagle Fly Free from the 1988 follow-up remains the defining example of his approach, all velocity and precision wrapped in something that somehow still felt joyful. His recorded performances became the rhythmic blueprint that defined European power metal drumming for the decade that followed. His personal struggles led to his departure from the band in 1993, and he passed away on March 8, 1995, at just 29 years old. The tragedy of his story has too often eclipsed the extraordinary drumming legacy he left behind in less than a decade of recording. Number 2. Ajay Pero. Mike Portnoy stepped in to fill his seat at a Twisted Sister tribute concert in 2016, and later said publicly that the drum parts were far more demanding than the band's image had led anyone to expect. Ajay Pero had that effect on everyone who actually sat behind the kit and tried to replicate what he had recorded. His classical percussion training gave him a dynamic range that most hard rock drummers of his era simply did not possess. The opening drum attack on Under the Blade from the 1982 album Under the Blade hits with a physical weight that no amount of production trickery can explain. He brought the same intensity to Burn in Hell and We're Not Gonna Take It, delivering thunderous performances inside songs that the pop-friendly music video treatment caused most audiences to underestimate. He passed away on March 20, 2015, and the tributes that followed from the drumming community finally revealed the depth of respect his peers had always held for him quietly. Number 1. Bill Ward.
Step your head!
Dave Grohl has spoken in multiple interviews about Bill Ward's foundational importance to the rhythmic language of heavy metal, recognizing in him an approach that predated everything that came after. The isolated drum track for War Pigs, which has circulated widely online, left an entire generation of musicians stunned by what was actually living underneath that record. Ward brought a jazz-informed swing to material that should have felt rigid and punishing, and the tension between those two impulses is precisely what made early Black Sabbath feel so uniquely heavy. His performance on Rat Salad from the 1970 album Paranoid remains a clinic in how to make a drum solo feel genuinely dangerous rather than indulgent. Tony Iommi's riffs built the walls, but Ward's drumming was the gravity that held the entire structure together. Lars Ulrich and countless others have placed him among the most influential drummers in rock history. He belongs at the foundation of everything heavy that came after.